Welcome to the channel, guys, and my name is Everything Internet. In today's episode, we are diving deep into the different ways that coding can actually improve your brain development. A big factor when it comes to being a programmer is the ability to use logic when solving problems. An example could be when a programmer has to rely on using logical thinking and logical reasoning to figure out why they have errors in their code. The process of programming encourages you to plan and organize a sequence of commands for the computer in a language that it will understand. Learning how to program for the first time was a challenge for a man called Alex Waxman. The story of Alex Waxman. Alex Waxman was a full-time investment bank analyst working in Atlanta at the time. It was in January of 2013 when he decided he was going to learn how to code. So instead of clocking out after a long day's work, Alex would come home and teach himself Objective-C and JavaScript through using books and tutorials online. 2013 was almost a decade ago. This meant that there weren't as many resources available online, so learning how to program was a much harder task for Alex. In that summer, Alex had already decided he was going to leave his career in finance and move over to New York. It was at this point in his career where he enrolled in a programming bootcamp to help him learn Ruby on Rails. Alex was only 25 years old at the time when he placed his first job in the field of technology as a product developer at SeatGeek. SeatGeek was a New York startup at the time, acting as a ticketing platform where users can buy and sell tickets for different events like sporting events, theatre events and concerts. Alex described the process by saying it was like learning a foreign language. He also mentioned how it's much easier for him to learn programming by being immersive. To immerse yourself into a task is basically to get stuck in and completely involve yourself into the task. If you are considering learning how to code, this is a great approach to consider. Fortunately, there are many resources available online to help you. Some examples could be Free Codecamp and Khan Academy, as well as a ton of websites available dedicated to teaching people how to code for free. I'll leave a few links in the description below for resources you can use to begin your journey in programming. When people say they want to learn how to program, what they're really saying is, I want to solve problems that the computer can help me with. This was said by Sherif Aboushadi, who is an educator at Dev Bootcamp. With nearly 13 years of experience, he went on to say that in fact most programmers spend half their time failing over and over and fixing those mistakes until they get it right. Initially, the journey of code will seem daunting and difficult, which is why people often give up early, where they are under the misconception that programming is easy to learn. However, the road to programming could be considered tedious as it revolves around making mistakes and moving on, also known as trial and error. It is at this point of a programmer's journey where they are provided with problems or errors in their code, which they have to solve and figure out the problem to. There has actually been a lot of research done in the way that programming improves a child's brain development. This field has been explored for decades now, and here is what they found. They found that programming can be beneficial to a person's cognitive development. This part of the brain is responsible for mental abilities like decision making, logical thinking and problem solving. Many studies mention how the brain itself is like a muscle that needs exercise to maintain vitality, basically keeping our brains young, as we tend to lose brain cells during the aging process. Errol King says that the logical thinking skills he has acquired are transferable and can be implemented outside the tech world. He said, the more I go into code, the more I see the world from a different perspective, implying that improving your cognitive health is an important component when it comes to performing everyday activities. As humans, we naturally grow new brain cells throughout our entire lives, but not at a very high rate, so you want to keep the ones that you have. Some research done has shown that brain exercises like programming help improve your brain function and can possibly fight off dementia. One way that you can go about keeping your brain young is through learning new skills. Some researchers have found that if you mentally challenge yourself through activities you've never done before, you can actually make your brain sharper. An example could be when you learn a new programming language or any other complex activities. What happens is that our brains begin to form new neural connections while strengthening the ones that we already have. When people think of a programmer, they think of a nerdy guy or girl alone trying to do something all by themselves, when the true beauty of code is that you are making something together that can help a lot of people in everyday life. A quote by Alex Waxman.